Super Families with Sue. I'm glad you could join us. My name is Sue Karoga. Allow me to share with us some words from the Holy Bible. But godliness and contentment is great gain, for we brought nothing into the world, and we can take nothing from it. Keep yourselves free from the love of money, and be content with what you have. For God has said, never will I leave you, never will I forsake you. Join me. Welcome back. We've been going through a series of discussions on the topic daily child routine in the COVID-19 season. And right now we are looking at the implementation. And now we are using these 7 pillars to help us to discuss the implementation of our child's daily routine. In our last episode, we looked at the first pillar, which is communication. And then now today, we are going to be looking at the second pillar, which is resources. And when we talk about this pillar of resources, it is actually the elephant in the room. I mean, so many problems are coming up because of resources. And now when we talk about resources, we are talking about money, we are talking about finances, material things, properties, and the most important resource being the human resource. And now we are saying, because you've already come up with a very good routine for your child, now we are saying, please provide for all the resources that are required to implement that daily routine. And of course, it starts with the basic needs, the food, the clothing, and the shelter. Right now, our children are at home and they are eating so much. Please provide for the food. But again, all the activities that you have put in your child's daily routine require resources. Please go ahead and provide for all those resources. Right now, we are saying that we don't want our children to engage in those, devaluing activities, the plugged activities, watching television the whole day, playing on phones the whole day, and other gadgets like those. We want our children to engage in unplugged activities. But the question is, have you provided an alternative? Or is it that every time you're just telling your child, I don't want you on the television, yeah? Or I don't want you on the phone. But have you provided an alternative? What do you want your child to engage in? Have you provided the resources that are required for that? And that is very important. And then we are also saying, don't put something in your child's daily routine for which you are unable to provide, because then you are setting yourself up for failure, and then that whole daily routine will be useless. Only put those things in your child's daily routine for which you are able to provide. And this time, this season of COVID-19, we are going through hardships. Many people have lost their jobs. We are going through reduced incomes. Even business is not doing well. Please, can you scale down your expenditure? Only include those things which you really need. And that is possible. Quit living your life above your means. Accept where you are at and scale down your expenditure. We keep on going to supermarkets and buying so many things which we actually don't need, and it is possible to do without them. Therefore, scale down your expenditure so that you can be able to provide for our children the basics that they need. And we are saying that this whole issue of resources is the source of many conflicts in many homes right now. Yeah, people are fighting because of resources, and domestic violence has gone up. But we are saying that is uncalled for. In our last discussion, we talked about the importance of communication. Let us sit down as families and let us talk about the available resources and how to use them. Explain to your children, for example, that your resources have reduced and therefore they need to, to reduce their expectation, and they will understand. Some of them might even begin to provide solutions. For example, for breakfast, they will begin to tell you what they can take for breakfast instead of maybe the sausages that they have been used to eating every morning. So if we involve everybody in our family, we will find that we will be able to scale down our expenditure, and it is going to work. But if we don't do that, then we will keep on fighting over resources, and that is absolutely unnecessary. The other day we saw a very unfortunate video in circulation on social media of this woman who was beating the husband because he came home late, and he was drunk, and he didn't come with any money to buy food. And the woman was just beating him and asking him, how comes you have money for drinking, but you don't have money for buying food for the children? And the most unfortunate thing is that she was beating him in the presence of their 2 children. And you can imagine the trauma that those children are having to go through, seeing their father being beaten by their mother. But we are saying that is absolutely uncalled for. There is no justification for using violence on anyone. There is no reason. There is no excuse for fighting anyone and using violence on anyone. And we must come out strongly and condemn every form of violence. Violence against men, violence against women, violence against children is absolutely unacceptable and uncalled for. Let us sit down and talk about the resources that we have. That business of using violence on people is the behavior of weak minds. People who think that the only way they can resolve their issues is by using their fists. But for us, we said strong families and healthy families use communication. Let us talk with one another and let us deal with the problems that we are facing. And there is power in unity. There is strength in unity. If we work together to deal with this problem of reduced resources, we will overcome. After all, God ordained life to operate in seasons. Right now, it's a season of lack, but soon we will get into another season of plenty, and we will be able to live the way we wanted to live. But right now, let us accept where we are at. Let us reduce our expenditure so that we stop quarreling over resources, and also so that we reduce the stress in our families, so that we stop fighting and even suffering from high pressure because of the little resources that we are having in our homes. And then something else that we need to discuss is that during this season, our children are at home and we have a lot of time. Can we also take the time to invest good values in our children? We are saying, for example, right here, I will be using this plate to represent my home or my family. And then I will be using these glasses to represent the members in my family. And many times we go out there and we work hard so that we invest for our families. And we work hard to invest, properties in our families. We work hard to bring a lot of money and titles to our family. We work hard to bring a lot of resources, a lot of material things, the good cars and the wonderful clothes and a lot of food, good food. We work hard to invest for our families. But how many times do we also stop to invest in our families? We invest in the members of our families. We need to do that. We need to also go ahead and invest in the people who are in our families. We invest in our children. We invest in ourselves. Good values, a positive attitude towards money and resources. Because if we don't do that, then very soon they are going to misuse all these resources that we have acquired. They are going to misuse them and destroy them. And we have seen that a lot in our families. So even as we invest for our families, let us take the time to invest in the people in our families. We invest in ourselves, we invest in our children. Let us take the time to teach our children good values, a positive attitude towards money and resources that will help them for the rest of their lives. And this season has presented us with that kind of an opportunity. And now, the world has become very materialistic. Everything is measured in terms of money and the material things. But we are saying one of the values that we need to put in ourselves and in our children is where to place our true identity in the right place. Our self-worth, let us place it in the right place. Many people right now have misplaced self-worth and misplaced identity because they value how they look like more than anything else in the world. They have placed their self-worth in the materials that they have, in the money that they have, so that the day that they don't have the money, they cannot function properly. They can't operate because they don't have money. Others, when they have money, also they can't function because now they have money and they are used to operating without money. But we are saying, let us put our value in the right place, our self-worth in the right place. And that can only be in our Maker and who he tells us we are. That is the only place that we can have our true identity and our true value. And we are saying that when we place our identity in our God and in who he tells us who we are, then we will have placed our identity in the right place. And we will not therefore spend the rest of our time pursuing money and wealth and riches, because God tells us that he made us in his own image and he made us for a purpose. There is a reason why we were born. There is a reason why we are alive today. There is a purpose. God has allowed us to continue being on earth so that we can add value to people, so that we can make a positive difference in the world. And that is our purpose. In our own little way, we add value to other people in our own small way. And today, I may not be having a lot of money. I may not be having a lot of resources, but I am not useless. I have a purpose. I am going to be making a big difference in people's lives, even if it is just in one person's life. And that is why I came. And therefore, I am important. And that is what we need to teach ourselves and our children. Our value is not in the things we have, in the money we have. Our value is in who God says we are. And therefore, let us not spend our life pursuing money and riches. Let us spend our life pursuing our purpose, to add value to people's life, to provide solutions for the world. And when we do that, even when we die, we will not die with the material things that we will have. We will not go with them anywhere. We will leave them here in the world. But when we are gone, there will be people who will be remembering us for the value that we added into their lives. We will have made a positive difference in the world in our own small way. And therefore, during this season, can we take time to teach one another that value, the value of placing our identity in the right place, in God and in who he says we are. And then the second value that we need to teach ourselves is this one here, and that is that human resource is the most important resource. Valuing people more than we value money, more than we value material things, more than we value properties. People are very important. Valuing relationships with one another more than we value money, more than we value the material things of this world. That is a very important thing that we need to teach one another. Because if we teach ourselves and our children to value relationships, let to value their parents, to value one another, valuing your brother, valuing your sister, valuing one another more than we value our properties and our money, then in the future, even when one of our children is blessed and they have resources, because they value their brother, they will not despise them. They will be able to use the resources that they have to raise their brother. And in that way, we will drive out poverty out of our homes. But now, when we teach our children to value properties and money more than they value people, it's a very bad thing. Yeah? And they value money and they value properties more than they value other people. But let us teach our children to respect people, whether they have money or not, to value people, whether they have money or not, because people are the most important resource, the human resource. And when you teach your children to disrespect people because they don't have money, and so you mistreat, for example, your household, you mistreat, for example, the watchmen because you think they are poor and they have no resources, and you think that your children will change when they grow up. No, they will not change. They will be treating people, carelessly and disrespecting people because they don't have money. And let me tell you, the same thing they will do with you when you are old, and we are seeing it a lot. When you are old, they will begin to think that now you are of no value, and they will begin to look for how to, get rid of you so that they can inherit your properties. And we are seeing that happening a lot in society. Yeah, children killing their parents because of material things. Children organizing for their parents to be kidnapped so that they can get the ransom. Children even, spending the rest of their lives in court, wrangling for properties that belonged to their parents. We are also seeing very good businesses that were started by, parents, but when they leave them to their children, they are mismanaged and they collapse. Very, very good businesses, because these children do not have a positive attitude towards money and resources, and they do not value people, they do not value relationships. They only value money and properties. And we are saying, during this time of COVID-19, can we teach one another to love one another more than we love money? Can we teach one another to value relationships because they are more important? And in that way, we will be able to remove poverty out of our families. For example, the other day, we saw on media reports a story concerning one of the topmost African footballers, Samuel Eto'o, and he is reported to have been spotted using a phone that had a cracked screen. And when he was asked about it, he said that, he came from a poor neighborhood, back in his home in Cameroon. And therefore, he's using his resources to help the people that he left back at home. And that is absolutely incredible. Bless his soul. And that shows and restores faith in humanity, that it is possible for us to have our values in the right place, and it is possible for us to master our money and not to be mastered by our money. And that is what we need to inculcate in ourselves and in our children. And then the last value I would like to discuss here is the value of genuine, honest, hard work. Let us teach ourselves to work hard with our hands. To work smart as well, but also to work hard. And then when we get whatever revenue we get, let us be content with it. Let us not try to steal. Let us not try to engage in corruption. Let us live within our means as we wait for God to take us to the next level. Let us accept to climb the tree from the bottom as we wait for God to help us to rise to the next level. Let us accept the resources that we have. Let us not engage in corrupt deals. Right now, many people, they are operating, they have become tenderpreneurs. They are looking for this, one big deal that I will make and then I will become rich overnight. Others are living their lives waiting, for the day they are going to hit the jackpot so that they can become rich. Let us teach our children the value of hard work, honest labor. And then when we get the resources that we get, let us accept them, and then let us teach ourselves to be accountable with the resources that God has given us. Let us use the resources that God has given us well to bring development and progress into our families and to remove poverty from our families, because it is possible. Right now, we are talking, about corruption, serious corruption in government, and we must continue to condemn it with the strongest terms. We are saying no to every form of corruption. But do you know corruption starts at home? Yeah, corruption starts in our homes. When your child does not do his homework and then you do it for them, what is that? Isn't that a form of corruption? When you collude with your son to lie to your son's class teacher, isn't that not a form of corruption? When you insist that your child must become a medical doctor, even when you know that they don't have the grades for that, and you collude and you look for methods of getting leakage, buying leakage for your son so that he can get, score A's in his exams, isn't that a form of corruption? And then right now we are faced with a problem of quack doctors, in our hospitals who have very good qualification papers, but they are quacks. And when you go to hospital to seek for treatment, they are looking, into the Google. They go into Google to be able to see how they are going to treat you, because they are not qualified, although they have the documents. But where did all that problem start? From home, corruption. And we are saying we must say no to every form of corruption, even in our homes. You don't belong to yourself as a person. You belong to your family. And that is why if something bad were to happen to you right now, the first thing they do is to trace your family and inform them. You don't belong to yourself. And in that same way, the resources that you have, they don't belong to yourself. They belong to your immediate family. They are supposed to bring development and progress in your family. But many times we see, persons or parents taking resources which are meant to be used in the home, and they take them outside there and they are used for other purposes other than for the home. and then the family is suffering. The children are not being provided for because somebody has taken family resources and they are using them outside there for other useless activities. And we are saying that is corruption, and we must say no to corruption in our families. Let us use the resources that God has given us diligently, and let us be accountable to one another. Let us use the resources that God has given us well, even as we wait for God to take us to the next level. And these are the conversations we need to have in our families so that we get rid of corruption at every level, right from our homes to our institutions to our churches and even in government. Let us rid corruption out of everywhere in our lives, and eventually we will find even in our nation there will be no corruption, because charity begins at home. And during this season, let us inculcate in ourselves these values, and let us teach one another to value one another more than the way we value our resources, and to work hard and to be accountable with the resources that God has given us. And so that will be all that we are going to discuss for today on this pillar of resources. And then next time we are going to be discussing the next pillar, which is monitoring. But right now for me, it is bye-bye. Thank you for watching, and God bless you. Thank you very much.